Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Cozypreneur podcast. And this episode is all about why it's worth putting on pants sometimes. So I know this podcast is all about making money without getting dressed in the morning, but sometimes it is worth getting out from under that blanket, taking a shower, and putting on real pants. So I am excited to dive in. Welcome back to another episode of the Cozypreneur podcast. If this is your first time listening, Cozypreneur is all about helping you make money and work with the dreamiest of clients. So grab your beverage, get your cozy socks on, and let's dive in. Update on the podcast. I posted on Threads that I was opening up the podcast for guests and had over 20 applications. So I batch recorded a bunch of guest episodes. I'm excited for all of you to listen in the next 3 months of all of the guests that have come on. It's been some great conversations, but I'm also excited to hop back in and start batching solo episodes again and just being able to kind of riff and talk. Okay, so when I say it is worth putting on pants sometimes, there are different levels of pants. There's your house pant. Those are the pants you're ashamed to wear outside. Those are your stained sweats, your shirts with holes in them. They're really good for taking out the trash and getting your mail, but not necessarily like going to drop your kids off at school or running to Target to grab some toilet paper. So that's like your base level pant, like it's your house pant. Then you've got your errands pants. So these are your leggings, your sweatpants, things that are still super comfortable, but also more socially acceptable to go outside in. So one example of this is I got bike shorts last year from a subscription box. I actually was like super on the fence about keeping them, but I had a close friend story thing and I got some feedback that I needed to keep those bike shorts, and it was a great decision. I have never owned bike shorts before, but those became my errand pant last summer, like super comfortable, easy to throw on, and still looks good. So house pants, then you got your errand pants, and then you have your doing stuff pants. So these are real pants. These are real pants reserved for work, reserved for socializing, reserved for actually making a good impression and being like, they're a real human. I have a bunch of nice pants. I used to wear nice pants to work every day. I used to wear real pants Monday through Thursday when I was teaching, and then Fridays I'd wear sweatpants because I was like, I earned this. But yeah, I basically have a few nice pants, but they are all stretchy material. They are all basically the same pant in different colors because I hate jeans, and I also hate pants without pockets. So especially the stretchy pants, I feel like jeans have pockets more often, but I feel like with stretchy material, it's harder to make good pockets. So it's like, it's such a win when you have good stretchy material for pants that look good and have pockets. Anyway, I am joking about all of these types of pants, though it's like a joke that really parallels my lived reality, but it's fine. But the real talk behind this is it really is about mental health and mental health that ties into business. So for me, I love being home. I could win an award for being a homebody. I am joking about pants, but I have several people with agoraphobia in my family. My grandmother had it. I have several aunts. If you don't know, I have a super big family. I have over 40 cousins. Last we counted, we were at 44. And that's first cousins. That is not including all of their children. So anyway, agoraphobia and mental health issues run in my family. And I'm somebody who needs to be super aware of this because staying home is so natural to my routine. Like growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, so we weren't leaving the house unless we were going to do errands or going to see our cousins or something like that. So I'd spend a lot of time at home. Like we didn't have Chuck E. Cheese money, so we didn't go out to dinner much, right? So I would spend time at home reading, writing, playing video games, playing piano, which I recently took up again, and it's been making my inner child so happy. Neopets, I was a master at Neopets. I would stay up late all of the time playing Neopets for years. And honestly, I'm pretty sure running my business is just me fulfilling my childhood dream of running a successful Neopet store, which I did pretty good for the fact that I had a dial-up internet connection. So anyway, the point of all this is I love being home. I can entertain myself for hours, days, even weeks, maybe. And if I don't have a reason to go outside, I won't. And so something that I need for my mental health, which may or may not be true for you, is breaking that pattern of being home and really going outside. And something that has been super, super helpful for me in creating that pattern interrupt is Rover. So if you don't know, Rover is a app where you can take care of cats and dogs. You're basically just pet sitting for people. And I started doing Rover because honestly, I wanted another source of income that wasn't necessarily reliant on my business. And it has been really helpful in that sense because having that extra Rover money takes a lot of pressure off the business. So even though I have consistent clients and I have consistent income, like there's always ups and downs in businesses, like you lose a client or something happens, and having that backup Rover money, it just alleviates a lot of anxiety. Because the month that I lost a client, I was like, hey, I actually have like $1,200 coming in from Rover. So it's not that serious. Like I can still pay all my bills. I can still do all the things. And it gives me like the time and the energy and the space to find another client. And I don't have to do it with such urgency, right? Because when you're showing up with such urgency, your people feel it. And so it's more about like, how can I find the perfect fit person for this offer and not so much about, oh my God, I have to fill this spot really quickly. And so in that sense, Rover has really, really like alleviated a lot of the pressure on my business because you never know with the ups and downs. And like, it's just nice having that additional source. The other thing about Rover is I have to go outside. I have to go outside and I have to play with animals. And I would say about 90% of the time, I am annoyed that I have to go. But I'm never mad when I come back. I'm always happy that I went. I always feel better after spending half hour with a little animal and getting to know all of their personalities. Like, I don't know, I've had some doggos that just want snuggles. I have the dog that barked through the entire guest podcast episode. That's another episode. Little like mischievous kittens, like old cats that are just like super snuggly, like so many different animal personalities. It's been a really cool experience. And it's always something like I always feel better after doing it. And it's also not that hard to talk myself into going because one, I would never leave animals to be hungry. I would just feel too bad. And then two, it's like somebody's counting on me. So it's easy to go outside. And it's also like, oh, I actually don't have to talk to anybody. I just have to go outside and I don't have to interact with anybody, which makes it a little bit easier to like get over the hump of going outside. The other thing that Rover has been good for, and this is like kind of random, if you're somebody who's like stuck in comparison traps, it's been kind of helpful for me to like see how different people like take care of their pets, how they live their life, like what kind of stuff that they have. Like it's been interesting to see like all of the differences. And it also makes me feel better about like the status of my apartment because my mom is like the most clean person. Like her house looks like a museum all of the time. And so I naturally compare myself to my mom and I'm like, my house is so messy all the time. But then like going into all of these other people's houses, I'm like, oh, everybody's house is messy all the time. And it's always like the super clean people that are like, oh my God, I'm so sorry for my mess. And I'm like, it's actually very clean in here. But yeah, so I think that's really an interesting perspective about Rover too. I will say like it's been a little bit awkward. Like, do I tell people in the online space that I'm doing Rover? I think there's like this idea in the online space that you have to go all in to be successful. And like this idea of like, if I'm doing a side hustle, I'm not fully committed to my business. But just because I have a business doesn't mean I can't do other things. And it's actually really harmful that people in the online space say that because most of those big coaches, they have other ventures. Like they're in real estate, they are doing other things. And so there's never a reason to feel bad about diversifying your income. That was something that I was talking to a friend about who also does Rover is when I get to my desired amount of income in my business, am I still going to do Rover? And for me, like, I think I am. Like, I might cut back a little, like, as the studio gets busier and I have a lot of writing to do. But the fact is that Rover's so flexible. It gives me a nice supplemental income. And it is honestly like so fun and so rewarding. Like the last day when I'm saying bye to pets after being with them for like a week, like I'm sad. I'm sad saying bye to those little animals. Like we had fun together and I got to know them and they were little personalities, and now we have to like say goodbye and I might not see them again. So all of this being said, I like Rover. It's really great for my mental health. And the best part about Rover is you can wear a level 2 pant. You can wear an errand pant. You don't have to wear real pants. You could probably even get away with wearing your house pant depending on the situation. Like sometimes I'm in like apartment buildings and I'm like, I should probably wear errand pants and not house pants because I'm ashamed of my stained pants. Okay, so that is my riff on Rover. If you are somebody who's like, I'm thinking about a side income and you want to talk about Rover, DM me because I really like it. Anyway, there's one more reason why it's worth putting on pants for your business. And this is real pants. So jeans or above, or, you know, if you're like me, stretchy pants that look like jeans. And that's in-person networking. And so I think that there's going to be a big shift towards in-person networking in 2025. I think that people have lost trust in the online space. And I think that there's going to be more of a integration between online space and in-person events. And so one of my goals for 2025 is really to get to know the business owners in my community because there are so many cool businesses around and I just don't know the people who run them. And so that's one of my goals, is to really start to network with local people. And so I've been to a few in-person networking events, and I will say that I never ever want to go. Even worse than Rover. I have talked myself out of them and not shown up, but I have been really trying to push myself out of my comfort zone. And for the most part, some were really great, some were not so great. But I don't think there was any that I was like, oh, I totally regret going to that. Like recently, my town did a women's networking event and I got to meet with people that I had met with virtually, and it was cool to see them in real life. And I was able to make some referrals for some of my other local business owners. And I actually ran into somebody I went to high school with who is living in Africa. And it was just like such a random coincidence that we were running into each other at that event. But you do have awkward moments. Like there's 2 awkward moments that I remember. One was a hibachi dinner that had a life coach as a speaker, and she kept trying to get me to like diagnose her funnels and like why her 12 funnels weren't converting. And it was so awkward because they had rented out like this whole section of a restaurant, and I think like 5 people showed up. And so anyway, this woman was like trying to get me to fix her funnels during this dinner. And I was just like, I would have to look at them and be paid for this, miss. So that one was awkward, but that's another lesson of like being excited and serving clients no matter what, because the host was like so disappointed and she was just like complaining about how nobody showed up to this networking event. But like, if she had just been like, hey, I'm so excited that the 5 of you are here, like that could have really fostered some loyalty between those 5 people. And that's probably what I would have remembered about this event, instead of remembering how disappointed she was that nobody showed up. The food at that hibachi dinner was spot on though. So anyways, even if you go to a networking event, if you didn't meet anyone that is helpful, it's still worthwhile to go and practice talking about what you do and how you help people. And yes, it totally sucks to put on pants, especially if it's cold out, especially if it's raining, especially if you have to drive and there's traffic, the worst. But if you are somebody who struggles with mental health like I do, it really does help to go outside, even if it's just the door with your house pant. But putting yourself out there outside of your comfort zone, like that's what's going to be huge for your business. That's what's going to move the needle in your business, is building those relationships with people. And when you are able to build relationships with people in person, it's a lot more impactful than it is in the online space. And it's cool, like once you start going to these regularly, you start to recognize people, and then you're just catching up with people, and they become less scary because you're like, oh, I'll be able to see like this person again and kind of see like what they've been working on for the past few months. And so that's also really where you can start to build your referral network, because people will ask you, hey, like, do you know a photographer? I'm like, hey, actually I do, check out this person. And so there is a lot of benefits to going outside, meeting other entrepreneurs in real life. And I'm not saying like totally ditch your online strategy. Like, no, I am a digital marketing person, but there are a lot of benefits in building those relationships and bringing the people who are in your real life community into your online world, and being able to merge those two is really going to help like the idea of like a long-term sustainable business. So if you're listening to this episode, I would love to hear, what are your thoughts? How do you label your pants, and how do you push yourself outside of your comfort zone? And that is all for today. Until next time, thank you for listening. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate and leave a review on your preferred listening platform. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe for weekly episodes about how to make money and work with the dreamiest of clients without having to get dressed in the morning. Make sure to check out the show notes down below, and I'll see you in the next episode.